All right. Carmen, once again, welcome, and it's nice to see you. How are you doing, and how are you holding up?
Thank you, Walt. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm doing fine. I think under the circumstances, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, the
Yeah,
company, our industry was able to work uh, during this quarantine.
yeah,
So we were fortunate to be to be in this industry. So we are doing our best to keep up production and everything. Thanks God, and all the team are fine. All of us
good,
are fine. Thanks God.
good, good. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, we're going through COVID-19, and hopefully, we're at the kind of the end of it. I mean, tell me in your own words. I work in the hospitality industry for a couple decades in New York City, and everybody wants to work for a brand, run a brand, be the brand ambassador. What is it like to be a CEO of Casa San Matias? To be one of the largest distilleries, if I'm right, in Mexico. Before the COVID happened, what is it like to run such an organization as yours?
It's to me, it has been a very rewarding experience. I have been running the company for 23 years now, and it's one of the most beautiful things that I have the experience in my life.
Mm,
To lead a wonderful team, to be in this great industry representing Mexico and the first. And I think the most emblematic product from Mexico is tequila, in my opinion. So be able to talk about my country through our products, it's wonderful. It's extraordinary.
that's
So
awesome.
during these years, I have been having challenges, and probably this year, I could say that it's is the biggest challenge that I have had
Mm,
to deal with fear, with frustration, with all these feelings that all of us have right now.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, and to be able to see the team, it's the most important thing, because
Mm,
our company has developed a philosophy that the person is the center of the company. So it's we have been working hard to keep up that philosophy even under these circumstances.
wow. So how has, I mean, just production kind of quickly, how's the business in general, do you think, the spirits industry, tequila industry, has it gone down because of COVID-19, or is it maintaining? Is small brands hurting while big brands are doing well? Kind of what's your overall view of how production is for tequila and mezcal over the last 4 or 5 months?
In Mexico, numbers are very bad.
Hmm.
We have lost like 70% of business this latest month, and I think all of us, the biggest company and the medium companies, and I think it's worst for the small companies, the small
Hmm.
brands, because as we have everything closed for 3 months, all restaurants, bars, and events, weddings, every opportunity to celebrate and drink a glass of wine or a cocktail had been shut down. So business here is very bad. In the US, it's a different situation. Even though on-premise is has been closed and it's reopened again, thanks God. But the off-premise channel is doing well. So for San Matias, the export the international market has been very important
Hmm.
these latest months.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Gotcha. So, I mean, do you think, what does the next couple months look like? Do you think, in your opinion, is it hard to predict, or, are we putting our hands up and seeing what happens? What's your thoughts, or what are you all planning on in the next, 2 to 3 months, and then heading into, obviously October, November, December?
Mhm.
Any optimism? Do you think we're going to get back on track, or what's your thoughts around that?
Yeah, we are optimism.
Yeah.
We don't have a secure scenario on the future. This year has been very difficult to do like planning. There is no way to plan because you don't know what is going to happen. But we need to have a plan, and our plan is to keep up and recover the activity here in Mexico and of course in the US, and we are selling to other countries as well, and we are seeing like little by little more invoices to other countries as well. For example, Italy has been very bad, you know, the situation that they had, but little by little. So that helps to keep my optimism up. I think we are going to do fine, and we are going to close the year with very good numbers, is my expectation.
Got it. Got it. Well, I like that optimism. I think you have to have it.
Very
uh,
important these days.
yeah, very important. I mean, you gotta. I mean, you have to keep moving. So I mean, that's what I've been trying to tell people as well. They're like, you know, what have you been doing? I've put this 30-day skill challenge on myself where I'm learning a new skill every single day for 30 days. And people are like, why?
Congratulations.
People are like, why are you doing it? I'm like, well, what else am I going to do? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm still trying to be busy and I still have some work, but you know, you got to keep moving. You got to keep, I think in this time, you got to keep your brain moving and you got to keep thinking about new things. And sometimes that light bulb will go off while you're trying something kind of new. So it's good that you have that optimism, and I'm hoping, as you know, like I said, as somebody a few decades in the hospitality industry as well, I want to get back into the bars and restaurants, and you know, maybe not hug people right away, but at least have a toast and get back into it. So
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I miss so much my trips to the US and see old friends from bars and restaurants. It's a great community, very special community to us, and especially to me. So I want to see them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's your residence now? Where do you live?
I live in Guadalajara.
You do.
In
Gotcha.
Mexico. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. And before COVID, how often were you getting into the United States?
Probably once a month.
Oh, you were. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe once a month.
And were
Yes.
you visiting different states because of distribution, or where were you?
Yes, different cities.
Yeah.
For example, New York, LA, Texas, different cities, Houston, Dallas. I have
Nice.
been in the major cities in the US. I haven't been in some states that I'm willing to visit, like
There's a lot of states.
especially, yeah, the states that are in the middle of the country, in the center of the country. But I have been several times in Chicago, and yeah, in those cities. And
Yeah.
I enjoy traveling to the US a lot. I learn a lot from you, from your country, your culture. And the on-premise business is really important, and we learn a lot in Mexico. So we take ideas, and it's very funny because I have met people that come to Mexico to search for new ideas. So I think it's a interchange of ideas, and it's very positive.
Agree. And you know, one of the things in this industry, and I'm sure you're very aware of, and I know your company does, is you know, very you know, ecologically friendly, socially friendly. You know, if you talk to bartenders these days, those are like the big things that are on top of the mind of you know, the hospitality industry. You know, so when you know, I go around and I pitch brands to bartenders, and a lot of times, yeah, they want to taste the product, but they want to know about the owner. You know, they want to know about how the production is done. You know, what are you doing for the hospitality industry? So I know, you know, you and your company are very ecologically friendly. I know you're very aware of social standards. Is this something that you've always practiced? Is this something that you've implemented in your company over the last few years because of the state of the hospitality industry, or it's just something that you grew up with? So I don't know if you could speak on, you know, what your company does ecologically and socially, but also kind of the why maybe behind it, and how you're doing it today.
Yeah, thanks. Well, my dream 23 years ago, when I took over the company, was to build this company in, like, to grow in a very sustainable way. So our efforts started then in 1997.
Wow.
And we started to see like, okay, we want to grow, but we want to grow respecting the environment. We want to grow supporting the community. And very important, we want to grow doing something for our co-workers, our team. So those are the three main sustains of the company, like pillars of the company. So we started at that time like searching ideas to be sustainable. So we tried several things, and finally we decided to go and build a biodigester. We are one of the few distilleries to own a biodigester. That means that from the waste of tequila after distillation, we are able to produce biogas in our biodigester. And with that biogas, we are able to feed the boilers to produce the steam for the ovens to cook the agaves. So with that, we are decreasing the carbon footprint in the world. So we have been always interested in ways to work in a very sustainable way. And with the community is something that I have been interested in social service since I was a teenager. So it's something that I have learned that through our work, we are able to support a community. The characteristic here is that us and some distilleries as well, we are based in very small towns. And for example, our distillery is located in a very tiny town. The name is Ojo de Agua. And I can tell that it's probably the formal source of job in the area, the only one. In the bottling facility, we have two facilities separate because of the quality of water. We decided to do that way. In our bottling facility that we call the Hacienda, we have other kind of industries around, but more agricultural and farms. But it's important as well. We hire a lot of women in that facility. And in Mexico, it's a work that you need to reinforce. We need to hire more women because we are not in the same level right now. The US is ahead of us from many years. So and for that, for example, we are the only tequila distillery to have in the certification of equality of gender, for example. So it's the way that we are dreaming in growing. It's growing, but with a purpose, with a meaning, and taking care of the most important is our world and our people.
Wow. All right. So you just threw a lot out at me there. So let me ask you something. The biodigester.
Yes.
Is that how many distilleries own something like that, or is it
I think that four
four out of out of how many distilleries are there?
We are almost 200.
And only four? I
Around
mean,
200. Yes, there's other ways that other distilleries have tried to clean the waste after distillation. This way it's proof that it's very efficient. It really helps, but it's very expensive as well. So it's
would it pay for itself over time? Because it's
no,
helping to no.
it requires a lot of years, many
It
years.
does. Yeah.
Yes. So it's something that you need to invest in, just to help the world, to help decreasing these emissions of CO2 to the environment. But it's very difficult for small distilleries. There's a plan to have like a biodigester for communities. So some distilleries can share a biodigester. I think it's a very good idea.
That's awesome.
But it's still a plan. It's not a reality now.
So there's no law saying you have to have a biodigester. There's no there's nothing saying that you have to have this. You just took it on your own, even though it's very expensive, and just said, "Hey, I'm looking out for the environment, so we're gonna buy this and do it."
There's a requirement from our government,
Mm.
and tequila is the most regulated category in Mexico, and I might say in the world. We have a lot of regulations, a lot of requirements and restrictions, and one of the requirements is that our distilleries work in a clean mode. But it's hard. It has taken a lot of years of research. So what is the best way to clean our waste?
Mm.
It's one situation that all distilleries have in the world. It's not just especially for tequila, but
Yeah.
we are concerned about that. It's just that as I was saying, there's another ways to do it, and we have the proof that the biodigester is very efficient in that. But other distilleries have tried other kinds of things to clean their waste.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
And so you said you were, kind of concerned about social issues since the age of 15. So why is that? Is it your upbringing, your parents, someone in your family that talked to you a lot when you're younger? Take me through kind of, your upbringing a little bit. And have you had mentors that have sort of helped you along the way? Who's been kind of people that you've looked up to that's helped you become the person that you are today?
Well, it's a very, very nice question, Walter. My parents are alive and they are wonderful. I am who I am because of them.
Mm.
They taught me how to appreciate people and their needs. So I grew up in that environment, being sensitive to the needs of others. Mexico is a country where you need to support because there is no, it's injustice or inequality in opportunities. So when I was in high school, I started high school young, like 14 years old. So I started then to teach how to read and write to some older people. Like the school where I attended has like this in the evenings or afternoons. We have a different system here. We go to school at mornings, well, from 8 to 2 p.m. And after 2 p.m., my school used to open to other things. And I enrolled to this program to teach older people how to, well, not older people at that time to me, but it was adults that wanted to learn how to read and write. And I enjoyed so much those years doing that. And when I entered college, I started supporting a community in the highlands of Jalisco at that time. It was a very poor community, and I used to go there 3 times a year, and some years 2 times a year. But during the year, we were working as a team. It was a group of, I think we were like 20 students from the university, and we were like in touch of their needs as a community. So after graduating, I started, well, I built my own family, and I was always in touch with organizations trying to do like well, supporting as much as we could. So right now I'm involved in 4 organizations. I'm the president of 2 of them, but I'm trying to, it's something that it's important to me, but I think it's not an option. It's something that you must do, especially in countries as Mexico, and especially nowadays. I think more than ever now it's important to have that willing and to save time, your time, to support others, because
Mm.
it's a must. I think it's not an option anymore.
Yeah. So, obviously you spoke highly of your parents, was it, I mean, was it talks at the dinner table? Was it, did they take you out and show you other things? Like, I try to, I guess I'm asking about your parents and your upbringing that, I see a lot of, I mean, especially here in America, there's, people go to school and if somebody yells at their kid, the parents yell at them. And there's just this whole, like, I don't know, they don't really see the community like as much as like when I grew up, there was a lot of us all around and the parents took care of the other kids. And, today it just seems like if you're not, I don't know, people are coddled a little bit. And then teachers, if they say something to a kid, the parent gets mad at them, even though the teacher's trying to help them out. I'm just trying to see what your upbringing was and how your parents, I'm not gonna say molded you to be who you are, but what were the conversations like around the dinner table or out in the community to say, hey, look at these people, or you should be aware of these people. I think I really truly believe, and I'm trying to do that with my kids, is to teach them as much as I can, so when they get older, they're, aspiring to be someone like yourself, to help other people out instead of yelling at them all the time or getting on social media and yelling at them all the time. But to communicate is really what I'm, trying to teach my kids to do. So I'm just trying to see, how was the navigation path with you and your parents? And, was it more of just, like I said, talks at the dinner table, or is it Sunday meetings? How did it happen with you and your parents?
Yeah, my parents are and were very different raising us. I have three sisters and one brother.
Cool.
I'm the second in my family, but I have never in my life received my parents never yell at us, never. Ever. So their kindness and their example, it's like that we were able to have a very different parents. They rely on us for many things, and they will always saying us that telling us that, well, with extreme kindness, that we need to find our path, that we were valuable, that we had a lot of talents. Every feedback from them was very positive. And even though, for example, in my college years, I need to admit in front of you that I sometimes after classes at university, it was, old times, there were no cell phones, there was no way to tell your parents I'm coming late tonight.
Yep.
I was arriving late many times. So my daddy waited for me awake. And for example, if once I arrived 1 a.m., imagine that, and I had classes the next day at 7 a.m. So my daddy was awake waiting for me. And when I entered home, I saw my daddy say, oh my God. And say, okay, Carmen, come here and sit here. And I want to read something to you. Huh. So he started reading me, like something from the Bible and some reflections. And all the readings were about the dangers and that, well, I was a young lady. I was needed to take care of some things. So, well, finally, after probably 45 minutes of that lecture, say, okay, Daddy, I need to go to rest. I have classes early. So I did. And the next time that happened the same. My daddy was there sitting, waiting for me and reading for me. So by the third time, I told my friends, okay, no, I'm going home because I don't want my daddy to read me. So it was a very sweet way to provide like the reflections to us to think what the right thing to do, but never, with threatens, never saying, okay, the next time or punishments. It was a very different way to raise their family. And all my brother and my sisters, we talk a lot about these days as adults with our own families, how difficult for my parents was to trust in their daughters and in their son to make our own choices all the time. It was fantastic. I have great memories of my childhood and my teenage years.
I think that's amazing. I mean, you still didn't want to hear it from your dad, even though he was just reading to you, but it's such a different way to raise, because you think, all right, my daughter's coming home late. I gotta yell at her. I gotta lay into her. I gotta tell her the dangers and scream at her. But it's either that, or you can sit down and read a story that might have some of the dangers in it. And either way, you're still getting through to them.
Mm.
They're still scared to come home and listen to you. But it's in a different mindset, instead of them being fear and anxiety. And, like, go back to fear. I mean, just, you create it differently in somebody else's mindset. So I think that's super helpful, super helpful. And I wish more people, would maybe take a moment. Me and my wife try to do it. When we were in quarantine, we've been home trying to work. The business has been dead. Kids are home. We're trying to educate them. And my wife looked at me one time. She's like, I'm like, don't say it. I don't say it. Just go to the room. Like, let's relax. She's like, I want to, because my oldest, she's 8,
How many
and she's,
children do you have?
what's that?
How many children do you have?
I have 2 daughters, 8 and 5. Well, they'll turn 9 and 6 next month. But my oldest is super smart. Like, she's super smart, but she's just, she wants to be independent. And she's 8, and I always try to tell her, I'm like, if you've got a better system or a better reason or why you don't want to do something I'm telling you to, then you could talk to me. But she's just very, feisty, and she turns around and gives us kind of the business. But also my wife is kind of like that too. So they're both like the same type of person. So they kind of butt heads a little bit, but we try to do the same thing. Is more of like, let's just talk. Let's just talk. Let's just sit down. Let me tell you something. Let's go through it. Instead of the screaming and the yelling and the emotions. And so I think that's cool. I think it's cool that you had that upbringing. And like I said, I think nowadays everyone's trying to tell everyone how to parent and how to do it right. And, you get to a point where I think parents just put their hands up in the air and they don't even know what to do anymore. They don't even know what's right. They don't know if they're going to get in trouble, or they're supposed to do this or supposed to do that. But I think if you just sit down and talk to your kids, and, like, talk to them like people. It doesn't have to be like an adult conversation, but I just try to sit down and have a conversation, and when I go to bed with my daughters, and, I read a book, and the other one I sit there and we just talk. How's your day? What's going on? What's new? Anything you're like, you want to discuss. And, and now she does. And she's like, Daddy, I don't want it. I don't like when you do this. I'm like, okay, I won't do this as long as you clean your room. You know what I mean? So it's, I like the discourse that you had. I think it's super, super interesting. And I think we need a little bit more of that, in today's world.
Yeah, my parents always respect our decisions, my decisions and my sisters and my brother. And that's very hard as a parent. The thing is that I think we experience a lot of fear right now with these times, and that fear don't allow us to trust in our daughters or sons. So it's a matter, I think, of trusting more in the values that we as parents have transcendent to our siblings. I can't find the word in English, but it's like a legacy. Our legacy is our education. And I think we as a parent, we need to trust more in that. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, well, and speaking of daughters, I mean, you mentioned, you hire females in the workplace. Is that something that's, not saying look down upon in Mexico, but is it, you said it's worse in Mexico than it is in the United States. Is that what, I mean, I guess maybe walk me through the female role in Mexico today, and how it's developed over the last 20 years. I mean, is it the same as it was 20 years? Is it getting better, or more females getting hired? Maybe you can just educate me a little bit on that.
No, it's not the same. We have been like advancing a lot in these last 20 years. Now there is more opportunities for women. For example, when I started running San Matias, I was the only woman in many meetings. At the tequila industry, there's a producer association, and I was the only one there. and now there's a few. There's no many, but there's a few. And in any meeting that I am, I participate in some boards, and now the boards require the presence of women, and that's very good, because I think we have learned that our perspectives are different, like women and men.
Yep.
We observe the world in a different way, and we can like afford something important to. It's not teaching, and it's not the meaning of what I want to say. It's just that like we are like a complement, like men and women in the world. And the word has been missing of our participation as women, because all rules where it's a world ruled by men. And now we are, I think in Mexico is the same. We are starting to, it's not balanced, still not balanced, but we are on our way. There's a lot to do. Still here in Mexico, women earn less money for the same position as a man. And there's no much possibilities for some jobs. The pregnancy, the stage of or being a mom is very challenging, because our schools, not all of them, just a few of them has like extended schedule. So it's, imagine I was sharing with you that at my times school ended at 2 p.m., but it's the same now. So there's a lot of jobs that let the mom be able to pick up their children at 2 p.m., the mom or the daddy. There's no way to do that. So I think grandparents are very important in Mexico. Grandparents are helping a lot to young parents to take care of their children in the meantime they finish work. And there's more daycare centers, much more than in my times. So that is helping. But we need to develop in Mexico more systems to support women. And now with this stage with the COVID and the pandemic and the quarantine, I don't know in the US, but here in Mexico, we are rethinking the way we are working, the need to be in the office every day.
Yeah.
That for many jobs, that is going to change. Yeah. I think we are able to work. I'm at home right now. And I have been working at home many days, the most of the days during this quarantine, extended quarantine. We have almost 2 quarantines, more than 2 quarantines at home in Mexico, in Guadalajara. We started March 15. So 3 months later, we are starting little by little to our own activities. But like the world is changing, and I think with the change, and as we are learning that we are able to work from home, it's going to be easier for a lot of women. That in Mexico, we have more traditional roles, even though like young people has a different set of mind. But in a lot of areas in our country, it's very traditional. And the tradition says that the woman stayed home and take care of the family. And the men or the fathers go out and work and provide what the family needs. So we are seeing changes. We are seeing a lot of women. It's funny that at universities, there's more female students, and the female students have the better grades. It's like
I believe it.
Yeah. And I learned from an author, Antonio Velasco Piña. I had a conversation. He's an author of very interesting books, and he says that women are in the world like we have been pressing down, like not allowing women to develop like their talents, and because no opportunities. And now that there's no pressing, women are like jumping. We have that willing. We want to do things. We want to study. We want to work.
You're hungry for it.
Yeah. So in the meantime, it's going to be like an unbalance, because as we have this, we are thirsty of opportunities and everything, so we are like jumping higher. But I think the time we need to find the balance between our societies is the only way to have a healthy society, a healthy community.
You'd mentioned like women, compliment, a meeting, or, I always go back to my family and my wife. If you met me before my wife, I was a wreck. I was, I couldn't match a shirt with pants. I couldn't, so it's just one of those things that, like, you said you bring a different perspective to the conversation, and it's, guys when I get around my bro friends, we're just, just idiots running around, you know what I mean? And then you get like my friend's wife, and like, oh, yeah, that's a better way to do it. Like, why, we just try to muscle things and just, we got it. We could do it. We just figure it out. We're guys. And then, my wife will come in and she's like, you might want to do it this way, and you might want to do it that way. And the way she talks too is completely different. So I think we're, here in the United States, I think we're getting there. I don't think we're there yet. I hope we get there, because like I said, it brings a different perspective. We're in a modern world. It's not like, the men are going out and hunting every day for bears for food. You know what I mean? This is not what we're doing these days. You know what I mean? It's a totally different dynamic. So to bring in everyone needs to have a different perspective, and just to open up that conversation. And, I think some people just are stuck in their ways. They just think that this is how it is and this is how it should be. And, and I think it's starting to age itself out a little bit. New, younger people are coming in and giving that different perspective. And I think we're going to be better for it. I think we got to go through a little bit of the craziness, got to go through a little bit of the social media warrior justice people. And I'm optimistic. I think, like you, that we're going to get to the other side. A lot of people say, well, you're seeing, people are this, or people are racist, or people are that. And I think, or social media is bad. And I think social media is it's just exposing a lot of people and who they are and what they are, so I think over time, everyone's going to get exposed a little bit, and we're going to come through it together on the other side a little bit better than we were. I just, sometimes you got to go through the mess to get to the other side, but I'm optimistic, and I think we're getting there. And I mean, obviously you're making a little bit of progress, and, you're leading the way in Mexico, and you're hiring females. And, what do you think is, what's been, as you're hiring more women and you're being a leader, and women have to sit on these boards, what is the reaction? Is it welcoming, or are still people pushing back on it a little bit? What's the feedback that you get in your community about what you're doing?
In my experience, has been always like a very nice experience, always welcoming. All boards that I participate and I have participated, always welcoming. Still, like, men, very traditional, they are very respectful with women. That the women enters the room and they stand and they offer the chair to you.
That's awesome.
That kind of, yes.
See, I like that. See, I don't ever want that to go away. I think that's cool. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little old school like that too. And I don't know. I kind of like that.
So that's nice, being respectful. But I think for men also, they inherited this world. We inherited this world. So men and women, it's not that we did things in the past. It's just that our past generations did it. So we are inheriting the world, but we have the commitment to change the world for the next generation and offer them a better world, and a world with equality of opportunities for both genders. It's very important. In this also, the United States has been, I have learned a lot from your culture about this, the openness, the respect, the opportunities. And it's wonderful to see that, as I was mentioned, that I travel a lot, and I meet with my peers of Sazerac. It's a company that imports our products, and for me, it's a very nice experience to see the female executives there, how they work, the confidence that they have traveling and managing families and work.
Yeah, they're
So
awesome.
it's inspirational to us as a culture.
Yeah.
Right, I think, but the thing here is that we don't have the school system that helps, that support us, and the mentality of men are still needs to have a little more of evolution in the mindset to understand that the family is a work of two, is not a work of one.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
also the work and in providing the resources for the family, we need to evolve to understand that it's a work of two as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's a decision that the couple do, like but in equal terms. But because sometimes everything is valid here. I have met people that say, okay, we have a role that 5 years and 5 years. 5 years you take care of home and I work. Other 5 years we switch, and I work and you take care of the family. So there is very creative ideas depending on the family, depending of your personalities, depending of your passion. For some people, could be a passion staying at home and raising the family. For other, no. So we are so different. But the main thing is that we could be able to talk and decide together as a couple, what do we want for our family and ourselves.
Yeah, I think that's great. And it just goes back to that communication, you know, and there doesn't have to be a set role. It's just whatever works for you, you know, whatever works for you and your wife. And you want to stay home, you want to do this, you want to go there. Like, it just, you know, make it work. I think communication is big. I've had a lot of dad friends over the last couple of years that had kids for the first time. And I kind of like lay it on them straight, and they're a little like taken back a little bit. And, you know, I don't mean to scare them, but I always tell them, like, things, you know, things are going to change just because now you have this human being that you're both taking care of. And you tend to not go in different paths, but, you know, your sleep schedule is a little off, and this is a little off, and you're going to work, and, you know, things just start to go a little bit in different directions. And I tell them, like, you just know that it's coming, but make sure you sit down and you have those conversations with your wife and say, I'm feeling this. What are you feeling? I know you haven't slept in 2 days. Either have I. Maybe that's why we argued the other day. So it's been good, because I've seen a couple of dads like text me like, whew, it's been rough. And I'm like, okay, cool. They're like, but I've been sitting down and getting through it. And, you know, so I like I said, I think you could do what's best for your family, but just make sure you're having that communication and make sure you're on the same page. And that goes with business as well. You know, if you're not having those meetings or those phone calls or those quick little, like, how you doing? How you feeling? Kind of things, things start to fall apart and things start to break up. And I think I brought up social media a couple of times on this conversation, but I see so many Twitter tweets or Facebook posts, and they're not real conversations. They're just sort of like little spats you might have with your wife or your husband. And then people just get mad and they don't really know what the conversation was or why that was even said. So anyway, just going back to it, I think it's just super important to, you know, do what's best for your family, do what's best for you, and don't worry about traditional roles or non-traditional roles, or what people are saying or what your neighbors think. Just do what's best for you guys.
Yeah. And the same at the company. I think communication is everything in a company. So the way that we communicate, and I think that with the time, the things have been changing. When I started at San Matias, I remember that many people told me that they told me, you are a female and you are not able to run a company because it's a industry ruled by men. But I think that kind of messages don't encourage anyone. So we need to be selective of the messages that we decided to accept in our brains, to listen to the kind of messages. And I think it's the same for families or for companies, for jobs. It's each one of us thinks in a different way, but it's valid. You're willing to to work or not, staying at home or not, raising a family or not. I think it's one of the best things of this stage, this world that we are living, that we have options, and the option that we decide to take, it's our option, and it's as valid as our neighbor's option is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so at Casa San Matias, you make a tequila. Do you make a mezcal as well? The Los Vecinos, is that correct?
Yes.
Is there any other products, or I mean, let's pitch some of the products right now. You have the San Matias tequila, Los Vecinos mezcal. Anything else?
No, just that. And
Yeah, I mean, if anyone can't
yeah,
see
you
it,
have one of our brands there. Thank you, Walt.
oh yeah, that's
Yes,
right. If anyone,
yes, Donna.
it's
You have the repo version.
yeah, I have the repo, and then I have the it's the dark bottle. I think it's an extra añejo.
San Matias Extrañejo.
Yeah, San Matias extra añejo. So anyway, it's delicious. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, we were just distillers of tequila for many, many years.
Mm.
A few years ago, in a conversation with Sazerac team, with Megan to be specific, we brought the idea to the table to participate in the category of mezcal as well. And it's a very nice story, because the name Los Vecinos, the meaning of the name is neighbors. Vecinos is the translation of neighbors. And it's a concept as Mexico is neighbor of the US, and Oaxaca, the state of Mexico where the mezcal started, Oaxaca is a neighbor of Jalisco, where tequila is made. And we, as an industry, we are neighbors as well. Mezcal and tequila, we are neighbors. We are really relatives, because the plant, it's a relative of a plant that the kind of agave that is used to make mezcal, it's the same, belongs to the same family as the agave azul, which is the blue agave, which is the plant where we made tequila. So the idea started, and our goal is to build a brand that has like a main objective to support the community as well. We don't want to teach anything to Oaxaca or to Mezcal. We think that they are doing, they have been doing a great product in a great way. In Oaxaca happens something that didn't happen in Jalisco. In Oaxaca, there's thousands of palenques. Palenques is like a family distillery, very tiny distillery. Have you been in Oaxaca, Walt?
No, I have not.
I've seen these small palenques.
No, not in Oaxaca. No, I've been to Jalisco before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, in Oaxaca, it's like many families build their own palenques, and they were producing like for them, for their families, or something to sell. But there are thousands of palenques in Oaxaca, and in Jalisco that didn't happen. There were some distilleries, but not as many as palenques in Oaxaca.
Gotcha.
So the way the people from Oaxaca started to do it, I think it's very interesting, and we want to respect that in San Matias for Los Vecinos. It's not the idea to change anything. It's just that tequila has had time to learn over the time. It's a category that has been building through many decades. And mezcal is growing very fast.
Yeah.
So at their regulatory council, we have one in tequila, and there's one for mezcal. But there's many things that we can share to them, from tequila to mezcal, in quality control, in some of the strategic planning for the plants. Like we both categories have the same characteristic. We require plants that take a lot to grow. Agave azul, 6-7 years, and from mezcal, depending of the plant, but there's plant that requires 15 years to grow, and they are the planning is very important. So it's a very excited project, and we are very happy with the result. I think we have a delicious mezcal with three different varieties right now, and we want to collaborate more.
Nice.
So we are exploring I think we have choose the organization that we are going to support. It's an organization that offers scholarships for very talented female students. Talking about this, our willing to support women and reinforce them. Oaxaca is a very traditional state, so it's there are less opportunities there for talented female students. So we want to support them. So we traveled to Oaxaca at the beginning of this year, and we visited some. Well, we explored different organizations, and we visit this organization that I'm pretty sure that we are going to continue working with them. Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that. Congratulations on this company and growing it the right way, and doing it, ecologically and socially. How do you, as somebody that's in the booze business, I get asked this question a lot. And how do you stay in shape? How do you keep like a healthy mind? Is there anything personally that you do? Is there things that you do with your organization, whether it be yoga, meditation, anything, to stay healthy, to keep the workers healthy? Is there anything, like I said, maybe specifically that you do, or something that you do for your company, for health and wellness?
Yes, a lot. There's a lot of programs that
awesome.
we implemented. I personally, I do yoga, I meditate every day, and I watch out a lot of what I'm reading, or if I'm watching a movie, the kind of movie I watch. I don't like to watch anything related to violence ever.
So you don't watch the news?
No, I don't watch the news.
That's
I
good.
always ask my husband every morning, if something important happened to the world,
Let me know.
Please let me know what is happening there, because I like, sometimes I feel like in my own bubble, but I think I need to be in my bubble, because there's awful things around there, but there's beautiful things too. So my opinion of news is that it's not a fair amount of bad news with good news.
Nope, it's all bad.
There are no balance. I prefer not to listen just bad news, because the good news are not sharing.
No.
So I read always books to strengthen a positive mindset. And one of my passions, I have two passions. One is people. I love people. I like to be in touch with people all the time. But the other thing is I like nutrition a lot. So it's one of my passions is to read these kind of books. Yesterday I finished one. It's like Healing with the Force of Nature, for example. It's the kind of books that I like to read. I'm very alternative in that. I eat vegan. I have been vegetarian for 29 years, maybe. So, and I became vegan like 10, 12 years ago. And it's one of my passions. I want to take care. I would love to be a very old lady, but very healthy. It's one of my aspirations in life. And at the company, I can, of course, we share all the time with the team. They know that I'm vegan. They don't like being vegan, and it's okay. But I reinforce them to work out. And especially my concern now is their minds and their hearts, their feelings. So we have been developing some workshops this year for this specific situation of the pandemic and the quarantine. So I have been having 2 rounds of workshops with them. From the first workshop was about the management of crisis and feelings, and it's feelings and moods, because we need to understand the difference between an emotion that I have today, and if that emotion stay in my mind, in my body, that emotion became a mood. And it's okay to have fear, to experience fear, but not having a mood of fear all the time, because it's important to know the difference. So we had that workshop, and the second one was about the judgments, and we are working on the third round of workshops with the team.
So who leads these workshops? Is this something that you put together, or who leads them? You do. You do. That's awesome. That's incredible.
It's one of my passions. And the third workshop is going to be about the power of conversations. And it's our way to be close of the team, to know more about them, because each one of us has a personal story. And sometimes it's very difficult to know your story if I don't have the time to be with you. So we divided the 65 people from the medium level of organization and up. It's 65 people, so we divided in teams. So we are working on this. And so there's an opportunity to me to learn more about them, to learn their life stories, their challenging, their goals in life is wonderful. And for the rest of the organization, we have other kind of programs. Right now it has been very difficult to see them because the social distancing and the quarantine. But we normally in San Matias, we have like two times in the year when all the company are together for a workshop. And for that workshops, I have been invited, this specialist all over the Latin America. I have been invited coaches from Chile, from Colombia, and some from Mexico, to give them these inspiring lectures and do like exercises and have fun and dance together and sing together. And at the end of the day, learn something powerful for me, for my family, and for the company.
Wow. Do you so you just do this exclusively for your company?
Yes.
Yeah. You ever think about doing this for the bar industry or hospitality industry ever?
The other day it was a very it was a webinar that I participated in New York, and I enjoy a lot. Given this from our conversation in English, I'm always afraid that I'm not very good at English. Some words that I forgot the meaning or the translation. But I enjoy being with the hospitality community at New York.
Yeah.
It was like 2 months ago, I guess.
Yeah.
And the other day I was sharing with Rodolfo, my husband, that how much I enjoy these workshops with him. I don't know if later in my life I will do something like this, but in other stage of my life, I really like it.
Well, we enjoyed you when you did the Beyond the Bar with us a couple months ago. It was amazing. But we could always, I don't know, if you ever wanted to do it for the hospitality industry. I mean, we run some programs with the hospitality industry, but I think it's just needed. Like things that you talked about, it's just needed. Everyone gets in this tunnel vision of work and tunnel vision of I think people. I posted something the other day, was stop looking for things that make you angry. Some people liked it. Some people were like, you got to find things that are angry to fix them. And I'm like, yeah, but you're just looking for things that make you angry. Like you're watching the news and it's making you angry. Everything, you're just anger all day long. You're not seeing solutions. So what you're doing I think is super cool. And it's providing solutions instead of just anger. It's providing community and discourse. And I think that's super positive, and I applaud you for doing that. I don't see many businesses that do that at all. Everyone just kind of goes through the motions, and people check out and they get angry and they get frustrated, and then they just yell at each other, and it's just this cycle that
Mhm.
continues on. So kudos for you for like breaking the cycle and creating a different environment. Um, you know, meditation I think is super important. I have young bartenders that ask me all the time, you know, how do you stay level headed? I'm like, well, I don't check this in the morning. I don't check it at night. I just put it away. Nothing's going to happen. You know, put it away for an hour and then go to bed and then wake up and do other things, meditate, think about what you're going to do for the day,
Yeah.
and then check your stuff, you know? So I think people are just constantly attached to this and
Yeah.
looking for things again that make them angry. And then they're reacting and just reacting, and other people are reacting off them. And, you know, we're just caught in this endless cycle of reactions and anger. And, um, you know, I just don't think it benefits us. So I love what you're doing, you know, just as a person, but I love what you're doing for, you know, your business, which I think is really nice. I think we need more of that in business, you know, in the United States.
Thank you, Walt. I'm an old person in terms of course, my age, but but also in my
Come on.
sorry, my
You
habits.
keep doing that yoga, you're gonna be fine.
But for example, I don't. I'm not in any social media. I just have WhatsApp because we use
Mm,
it a lot in Mexico. But I'm not in Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. So it's
mm,
I don't have the willing to. But it's the way I think. I think it's too much in our everyday life.
mhm.
It's too much that that we can't. If we are connecting, and of course it has a lot of benefits and good things, social media. It's
Yep.
just like at my age and with my mindset, I couldn't absorb the culture of social media.
Yeah, you be reacting all the time to everything, and I think that's kind of the problem. And people want to, you know, what you're doing is you're building your own building. You know, you're building something up, and then what other people do with social media, they try to tear down everyone else's buildings instead of just building something that's amazing that you could look at and say, oh, look at what they're doing. You know, people aren't doing that. You know, I think people need to look at you and say, hey, let's inspire to do that. Let's inspire like more businesses to do that instead of looking at all these businesses and finding the one thing that's wrong, and yelling at them and screaming at them. And then they defend themselves. And, you know, just, like I said, you just get people trying to tear down each other's buildings instead of building up their own. You know, so I don't blame you. I mean, I'm on all the social media stuff because of work here in New York. And,
And
but
you need it. Mhm.
it's tough. It's just, you know, I try to skim through. I try to find some positive stuff, and I don't know. My feed just always tries to. It's just clickbait for negativity, and it's kind of
Mhm.
frustrating actually.
Mhm.
And then, you know, you see the news out. We mentioned news, but even every media, they don't. You know, they just want you to click, so they put the big headline up there, and like I said, it's usually just negative, or the headline's negative, and until you read it, and you're like, oh, that's actually not what the headline meant at all. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't blame you for not being on social media.
Yeah, sometimes my colleagues at work told me, okay, did you realize this, or do you know this person, the influencers now? And I'm sorry that I don't know anyone. It, but I'm always open to listen
Yeah.
what is happening out there. It's just that I prefer to save my time to read. And
Mm.
I think like selecting the books that you are reading right now is very important. It's very challenging to keep up our optimism, our positive um, attitude. So
Yep.
we need extra support, especially this year. We need help. We need help of coaches or good movies, good books to help us to build in our structure, to keep up our structure even in these challenging times.
I agree. I agree. Well, listen, it's been an hour. I really appreciate your time. Like I said, I love chatting with you, and thank you for, you know, a couple months ago when you did the Beyond the Bar with us.
Thank you.
And it's really nice to hear. It's really nice to hear someone doing just one positive thing after another. And, you know, you don't need to know about the influencers. That's why you have Sazerac, and they're great people, and they'll let you know who's who and help you navigate it. So listen, I really appreciate your time. Once again, everyone, it's San Matias and Los Vecinos Mezcal. Get some. It's super, super delicious. So Carmen, any last words?
Thank you for your time, Wolf. It's a great opportunity to see you again and to share these thoughts. Just saying that we will be fine. It's just keep up and keep up our good thoughts. And I think, well, very important to close saying that it's a moment to think of others too, not all our own wealth situation. It's very important to think of others now. And as an industry related to hospitality, I'm very I have been very touched for all that is happening in the world in this business. But just a message that we are going to be back. We are going to recover what we lost this year, this month. But we need to be together, work together, and have this optimism every day. Every day is a challenge, but we are going to conquer the results that we are waiting this year. Yes.
That's awesome. Let's leave it at that.
Thank you so much, Walt.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Carmen, Casa San Matias. See you later.
Bye-bye.